Hi, Carolyn Stevens. Paul Watzlawick, who is an Austrian-American psychologist and philosopher, said, "The belief that one's own view of reality is the only reality is the most dangerous of all delusions." Way too many leaders are hindered because they haven't received useful, succinct and granular feedback about their leadership behaviours from their boss, their peers and/or their team members. And because they haven't received this feedback, their self-perception is at odds with the way that others see them. What are the potential costs of your self-perception not being aligned with others' perception of you? Let's consider two not untypical cases to make the point. Imagine that I perceive I'm a leader who listens well and who forms good, trusting relationships with others. And you perceive that I often behave like a single-minded command and control leader. Or imagine that I perceive that my strong results orientation make me an exceptionally valuable leader. And you perceive that my results orientation has me behaving in an abrupt, impatient fashion whenever the targeted result is threatened. What's the potential downside of these mismatched views? The greatest concern is this. I'm not going to enhance my leadership practices and behaviours. I'll be stuck in my dysfunctional leadership rut for the rest of my leadership days. And consequently, the productivity and performance of my team is likely to be heavily impacted. It will likely result in low morale, high staff turnover, reduced teamwork, low staff engagement and little discretionary effort, as well as minimal initiative and innovation. Now, let's be clear. Everyone has strengths and development opportunities. I actually think we'd disappear into a puff of blue mist if we didn't have these opportunities. After more than 25 years of working in organisational and leadership development, there's absolutely no doubt in my mind that the single most impactful way of determining your leadership strengths and development opportunities is through a 360-degree feedback process, but not just any old 360 feedback process. To determine the best way to get feedback, let's answer the question, what are your targeted outcomes from the feedback? I suggest there are two biggies. First is candour. Without candid, honest feedback, we're wasting our time, aren't we? To be truly candid, 99% of people need to be confident that they'll have anonymity. And here lies one of the problems with the typical electronic 360 process. Many observers say that they haven't been altogether candid when they've participated in an electronic 360 process. Because their feedback was being given in writing, they were concerned about their anonymity. Of course, this means that we can't entirely trust an electronic 360 report. And our second outcome is this. We need real clarity on which of your 2 or 3 most critical behaviours that, if changed, would make you a much more successful leader in your organisation. You can only focus on 1, 2, or at most 3 behavioural changes at a time, which presents us with another big problem with typical electronic 360 processes. Receiving feedback about 12 or more development opportunities is confusing and redundant. What is the best way to get feedback? Years ago, I always used an electronic 360 process until late one evening my software crashed. I'd committed to launch it the next morning, which meant I had a problem. Then a light went on in my head. My crashing software turned out to be a blessing. Not once since that crash have I ever been tempted to do a 360 electronically. I'd discovered the value of having candid, anonymous conversations with the leader's observers. Through discussion, we developed real clarity about whether the leader had been right on track and which 1, 2 or 3 behaviours, if changed, would make that leader much more successful in their organisation. Because I'm able to ask questions to throw light on any confusing comments, our discussions put meat on the bone, resulting in the leader getting granular feedback about which practices and behaviours, if altered, would move them closer to exemplary leadership. Are you ready to take a step towards being extraordinary? To do so, you need clarity on precisely what behaviours you need to adjust to enable you to move closer to that extraordinary position. Since my software crashed about 10 years ago, I've been refining the 360 process I use. Now we have truly succinct, granular and candid feedback that's always highly instrumental in helping leaders move towards being extraordinary. Many leaders swear that our 360 feedback discussions have been their most revealing, most impactful and most useful development process ever. Send me an email if you want to talk about what this might look like for you or a leader in your team. All the best until we next interact.